The dense forest enveloped us in an eerie stillness as we embarked on our weekend camping trip. My son, Jack, was brimming with excitement as we set up our tent, eagerly anticipating a couple of days filled with adventure and father-son bonding. We spent the day exploring the woods, fishing by the tranquil river, and sharing stories by the crackling campfire. As the night wore on, exhaustion tugged at my eyelids, and I drifted into a deep sleep. Morning light filtered through the leaves, and I awoke to the soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. Panic seized me as I realized that Jack wasn't in the tent. I shot up, calling his name, but there was no response. The world outside was a tapestry of green and brown, and my heart raced as I ventured out to find my son. "Jack! Jack!" I yelled, my voice echoing through the forest. My mind raced with thoughts of what could have happened during the night. Had he sleepwalked into the woods? Had he wandered off in search of an animal? The possibilities were endless, and none of them brought me comfort. I searched for hours, my frantic calls for Jack becoming more desperate with each passing minute. As the day wore on, the realization that my son was truly missing settled in like a heavy fog, suffocating my hope. I made my way back to the campsite and dialed 911, my voice trembling as I reported my son's disappearance. The authorities assured me that a search party would be dispatched immediately, and I waited anxiously for their arrival. Days turned into nights as the search for Jack continued. Search teams combed through the forest, calling his name and scouring every inch of the terrain. But there was no sign of my son, no trace of where he might have gone. The forest, once a place of wonder and adventure, had transformed into a sinister labyrinth, and I felt its malevolent presence lurking in the shadows. Red herrings abounded, the broken twig that hinted at a struggle, the distant sound of a child's laughter that led to nothing but disappointment. As each day passed, my hope dwindled, and despair settled in. The authorities assured me that they would not give up, that they would find my son no matter what it took. But I couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. It was on the fourth day of the search that a glimmer of hope emerged from an unexpected source. A young couple, avid rock climbers, had ventured into the woods for a weekend of scaling the rugged cliffs that loomed on the outskirts of the forest. As they ascended one particularly challenging cliff face, the woman's hand slipped, and she tumbled into a hidden crevice. It was there, in the dark recesses of the cave, that they stumbled upon a sight that would haunt their nightmares. In the dim light of their headlamps, they found Jack curled up in a corner, his clothes torn and dirty, his eyes wide with fear. He was emaciated and dehydrated, but alive. They called the authorities immediately, and within hours, a rescue team arrived to retrieve my son from the cave. I rushed to the scene, my heart pounding with a mix of relief and dread. As Jack was carried out of the cave and into my arms, tears streamed down my face. He was weak and trembling, unable to speak. I held him close, vowing never to let him go again. The paramedics examined him and assured me that, although he was severely malnourished and dehydrated, he would recover. Jack's ordeal in the cave remained a mystery, one that would haunt our family for years to come. The authorities questioned the young couple who had unwittingly stumbled upon Jack during their rock-climbing adventure. They had heard nothing of his disappearance and had no connection to the red herrings that had confounded the search efforts. As I sat by Jack's bedside in the hospital, I couldn't help but wonder how my son had ended up in that cave. The forest held its secrets close, and the truth remained just out of reach. But one thing was clear. We had been given a second chance, a chance to rebuild our lives and put this harrowing ordeal behind us. Jack's resilience and the couple's unexpected discovery were a testament to the power of hope in the face of unimaginable darkness. And as we left the hospital, hand in hand, as I looked down at Jack, I noticed he was walking oddly. He was hunched and kept walking on his tiptoes. I wondered what's causing that and asked him if he was hurt anywhere. He looked at me and said he was fine. I shrugged it off. I couldn't help but feel that, in the midst of the forest's shadows, a glimmer of light had shone through, guiding us back to each other. When Jack and I came home, I decided to cook him his favorite meal. After devouring his food, we spent time drawing together. He didn't talk much like he always does, but then again, he was lost, and for days. So he's just settling in again, I thought to myself. I peeked over to look at Jack's drawing. It was an interesting drawing. There was a group of figures surrounding a little boy in the dark, holding him down and covering his mouth. Next to it was another drawing. It was a little boy similar to the first drawing, and he was carried out of a cave by a man. I looked at the two drawings, and I saw the first drawing of the little boy had the same red shirt and blue shorts as Jack did, the day before he went missing. The second drawing had darker and ripped clothing. The longer I looked at the drawings, the more I became confused. I watched him to see the finished drawing. As Jack continued to draw, I noticed him holding the colored pencils in his left hand. That's when it dawned on me. This isn't my son. Jack is right-handed. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story.